As I sat alone in the darkness of my living room, the weight of unease settled heavily upon my shoulders. It had been happening for weeks now. The fragmented memories, the disorienting blackouts, and the creeping feeling that something sinister lurked just beneath the surface. I tried to brush it off as stress or exhaustion, but deep down, I knew there was something deeply wrong with me. My name is Alex, and I live a relatively quiet life in the suburbs. I work as a teacher at a local school, and I've always prided myself on my reserved, gentle nature. But lately, that nature had been tested in the most horrifying way imaginable. It all started with the dreams. Each night, as I lay down to sleep, I was plagued by vivid, nightmarish visions. I found myself in dark, shadowy places, a sense of foreboding hanging over me like a shroud. I would hear the echoes of malevolent laughter, whispers that seemed to seep into my very soul. And then, in those dreams, I would catch glimpses of myself, or rather a twisted, malevolent version of myself. At first, I dismissed the dreams as just that, mere dreams. But then, the events of those dreams began to bleed into my waking life. People around me started acting strangely, casting furtive glances and exchanging hushed whispers behind my back. I could sense their trepidation, their subtle avoidance of me, as if they knew something I didn't. And then there were the blackouts. Entire stretches of time vanished from my memory, leaving me with a sickening sense of disorientation. I would wake up in unfamiliar places, my hands stained with blood, and my mind clouded with a sense of dread. I thought I was losing my mind, and the fear of what I might have done during those blackouts gnawed at me like a ravenous beast. It all came to a head when the local news reported a series of unsolved murders in our town. Each time the victims had been found in the most gruesome, macabre fashion, their bodies bearing the unmistakable mark of brutal violence. I shuddered at the thought that I might be connected to those horrific crimes, but the evidence felt circumstantial, like a noose tightening around my neck. Desperation drove me to seek help. I made an appointment with a psychiatrist, hoping to unearth the source of my escalating terror. The psychiatrist, a somber, empathetic man, listened to my tale with an open mind. As I recounted my dreams, the blackouts, and the shadowy alter ego that stalked my nightmares, I saw a flicker of concern in his eyes. After a thorough evaluation, the psychiatrist tentatively suggested that I might be suffering from dissociative identity disorder, multiple personalities. The mere mention of such a diagnosis sent shivers down my spine. I was a peaceful man, a gentle soul, and the idea that I harbored a split personality capable of unfathomable violence was a concept too monstrous to comprehend. The psychiatrist proposed a course of hypnotherapy, believing that it might unlock the secrets buried within my fractured psyche. I agreed, clinging to the hope that I might find some kind of reprieve from the encroaching nightmare that had woven itself into the fabric of my existence. During the hypnotherapy sessions, a name emerged: Damien, the alternate personality that lurked within me, biding its time in the shadows of my subconscious. As the memories began to resurface, I recoiled in horror at the truth that was revealed. Damien was a malevolent force, a reservoir of rage and hatred that had manifested within me, and his emergence coincided with the blackouts and the gruesome crimes that had plagued our town. I was gripped by a paralyzing terror as I began to piece together the realization that the monsters I had been fleeing from were in fact a part of myself. The psychiatrist guided us through the labyrinth of my mind, unearthing the traumatic roots that had given birth to Damien's existence. I felt like I was standing on the precipice of an abyss, teetering on the edge of a darkness that threatened to engulf me whole. Despite my efforts to contain Damien, he grew increasingly restless, resisting the prospect of merging with me once more. The blackouts became more frequent, and the trail of blood left in their wake became more pronounced. I was suffocating under the burden of guilt and fear, haunted by the atrocities I had unwittingly committed. One fateful night, as I lay down to sleep, the tendrils of darkness reached out to claim me once more. I fought against its insidious embrace, but Damien's presence swelled within me, a suffocating malevolence that threatened to consume everything I held dear. As the world dissolved into the mists of sleep, I felt myself slipping away, relinquishing control to the voracious entity that lurked within the depths of my being. I awoke to a nightmare that made flesh. The reality of my descent into darkness hit me like a sledgehammer. I found myself standing amidst the aftermath of a ghastly massacre, surrounded by the broken bodies of my innocent students. A palpable sense of horror and sorrow gripped me as the truth of what I had become tore through me like a shard of glass. I sought refuge in the resolute guidance of the psychiatrist, weaving through the tangled recesses of my tormented mind in search of a way to bring Damien under my control. The battle raged on within me, a tempest of conflicting emotions and a struggle for mastery over my own fractured soul. As the agony of my ordeal reached its zenith, I made a pivotal decision: to confront Damien head-on, to do battle within the depths of my own mind. In a harrowing, grueling confrontation within the recesses of my consciousness, I faced Damien, the embodiment of all my darkest fears and regrets. The echoes of our shared past reverberated through the labyrinthine corridors of my mind, swelling with both the pain that had torn us asunder and the hope that we might find redemption. In the end, I emerged victorious. Damien, once a spectre of violence and darkness, faded into the recesses of my mind, subdued but never forgotten. With the help of the psychiatrist, I embarked on a journey to rebuild the shattered remnants of my life, my determination steeled by the knowledge of what I had overcome. Despite the whispering shadows that lingered at the edges of my consciousness, I found a semblance of peace within myself. I knew that Damien's presence would always haunt me, a stark reminder of the fragile boundaries between sanity and madness. But I emerged scarred yet resilient, a survivor in a harrowing battle for the preservation of my own soul. Now, as I navigate the labyrinth of my fractured mind, I carry with me the burden of my experiences, transformed by the crucible of my darkest nightmares. I have dedicated myself to helping others who grapple with the shadows that lurk within their own minds, determined to be a guiding light amidst a sea of darkness. The battle against the haunting within rages on, but I stand resolute, knowing that I have faced my demons and emerged unbroken. There may come a time when the shadows threaten to reclaim me, but I will not cower in the face of the darkness. I am a survivor, and I will carry the torch of hope through the deepest chasms of despair.